Hey, what is happening? My name is Jared, and finally I can say welcome back to another cabin build episode. First things first, I want to apologise for taking so long to upload another video. I seem to always be doing that for all the cabin build episodes, but that's just the way things happen. I want to say I'm a busy person, but really it's just because I'm quite lazy and it seems to take more effort each time doing these episodes. But besides that, this is the reveal video for the interior of the cabin. I'm quite excited to get into it and show you what I've done. A lot of progress has been made since episode 8. So what I thought I would do is start where I left off and show you what I've done to the inside and how everything's looking at the moment. So you will have got a fairly good idea on what I've done on the inside of the cabin so far. What I'm going to do now is just go through and try and show you with a bit more detail of what exactly has gone on and also how I've done it as well. So first things first, with the walls, I insulated the walls the whole way around, including the ceiling. I decided to line the walls with a 15mm plywood. It also had a clear stain over the top of it just for durability. I didn't really want to change the colour of it too much. As you can kind of tell, it looks pretty much exactly the same as it would have, but yeah, I just put a clear coat over the top of it in case any marks would have, went into the plywood. But I believe it came up pretty well. The loft has been put in as well. So the loft is half the dimensions of the cabin. So cabin is 5 meters overall. The loft is therefore 2.5. It's got a fair bit of room up there. Double bed fits nicely. And yeah, you still got a fair bit more room up there to store clothes and what have you. So obviously before I could start lining the walls, I had to have an electrician come up here and do the rough-in, put all the power points where I wanted them, and do the downlights. I'll go into more depth later on what exactly I've done with the power and the way I got it to work. But just so you get a basic understanding, I've got, it's fully self-sufficient, so I've got 2 solar panels outside to go to a 12 volt system and then get converted into 240 volt, which is what I run inside. So I've got 3 downlights throughout. I've got one up in the loft, one over here in what you'd call, I suppose, like the living area sort of thing, and then one over here over the kitchen as well. Also, what had to go in first was the plumbing. So I also had a plumber come up and install a gas line for my 2-burner stove. I did the water line myself, which turned out to work pretty well. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. And then also for the fridge, this fridge here is a 3-way fridge. It's a 240, 12 volt, and also a gas fridge. So currently I'm running it off the gas function, that being that gas is the cheapest to run, and I'm not using all my power that I'm getting from the solar panels. The flooring is a loose lay vinyl plank flooring. I just got it from local Bunnings. Reason being, I could have got a hardwood tongue and groove flooring, but it would have cost probably, at least double the price what I paid for this. This is very durable, didn't have to coat it in any way, and it was actually quite easy to install as well. I'd never done it before, and yeah, I was very surprised. Very similar to just putting hardwood flooring down. The hardwood that you can see for the bench tops over here, also the hardwood on this bench top. the ladder, and then there's some more hardwood up there as well. That's all the same hardwood that was used out on the veranda outside and the handrail, and that's had a clear coat over the top of it, and I believe it's called an epoxy sort of, it's a bit of a glass coat, so I was able to actually fill in all these knots. You can't really tell in the camera, but these are all divots and knots throughout the hardwood bench top, and it gives a nice clear glass coat over the top of it, and I was really impressed with the way it turned up, and I'm probably going to start using that product for more things, more furniture in the future. The hardwood shelves up here, there's 3 on this side and also 3 on this side. They're also the same hardwood as what I've used for the bench tops and those other few things. I tiled the splashback myself, just a 200 by 100mm subway tile. The kitchen cupboards were a flat pack from Bunnings. I believe they cost me somewhere around the $400 mark for the 3 across here, and also the 2 ones up top which have my glasses and whatnot in. One of the more painful jobs throughout building the cabin was these windows. I showed them, they were second-hand windows that I got off one of the jobs that I was on. The main problem with them was that they were a different colour, they were brown, so I had to sand them back, undercoat them, and then paint them as well, which I didn't realise it was going to be as big a job as it was, but it turned out pretty good. There's a few spots where you can kind of see where I hadn't got far enough back with the metal, but that's just nitpicking, and yeah, I saved, you know, obviously as much as a window cost because I got them for free, so that turned out quite well. The story behind the saws, the hand saws on each wardrobe over here, the one on the left side here was my great-grandfather's hand saw from my dad's side, and this saw here is my grandfather's saw from my mother's side. So that's just a little touch that I put up in the cabin that I think actually looks really good, and obviously it's very appropriate to me as a carpenter, and yeah, they look quite good. The ladder here is obviously built out of the same hardwood as everything else. The spacings for the steps I got off your general step ladder, one that I use for work, and the spacings for them turned out quite well. Moving up to the loft, obviously I've got my bed up here as well as another shelf out of that same hardwood. The lights up here are your hipster lights you would have seen in the intro video. The reason I have them is because they act as a bedside table light. Obviously the downlight is quite bright, so in the first thing in the morning you don't really want to have a downlight like that shining in your eyes. So yeah, those lights act as a bit of a bedside table light, and that's what I'll have on before I go to bed and when I wake up in the morning. I also plan on having a little bit of a storage box here for clothes and other things like that, but majority of the time I will just get dressed downstairs. Being that the ceiling height is only 1.2, I always knew that the ceiling height wasn't going to be very big unless I sacrificed ceiling height downstairs, but being the fact that you just come up here to sleep doesn't really bother me too much. Just one little drama that I had when installing cupboards that I thought I'd touch on. When I built the frames, I was obviously a little bit too eager to start getting everything to happen, and I measured 600mm from external frame to the edge of the window when it should have been 600mm internal measurement. I didn't pick up on that at all until I got to installing the bench top, and obviously the bench top runs out into nothing. The way I fixed that was just cutting a 45 on the edge of it and bringing it back into the reveal, which doesn't look too bad, but yeah, in an ideal world it would have run out into the edge of the wall, and then your architrave would land on the side of it. But that's just one little snag that I ran into. But yeah, it still functions, and just one of those annoying little mistakes that you make in the heat of the moment. I'm sure I'm going to be forgetting various things that I was going to go into in this episode, So what I'm going to do is ask you to leave your questions down below in the comment section, and I will film a separate Q&A video about the cabin. That way you can ask me the questions you'd like to know, and I can answer the things that I also forgot. So thank you very much for watching this episode. Sorry it's been a drawn out one, but we got there in the end. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one.